Hey everyone, what's going on? Today we're going to be reacting to a Jubilee video here titled 5 Pastors versus 2 Secret Atheists, Odd One Out. Basically, if you haven't seen these videos before, they get a group of people that are supposedly all the same thing and then have 2 or 1 person lie about it and see how far they can make it before they get sniffed out, if at all. Or if they can fool everybody, they win a cash prize at the end. If the other people can figure it out in the group, they get the cash prize instead. Yeah, we've done one of these Jubilee videos before in the past when it was just Christians in general, but we might actually redo that one if you guys want. Let me know in the channel or what else you guys would like me to react to. But with that, let's jump into this video here.
I'm a pastor.
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 Two of them are liars. All right, here's the thing with Odd One Out, whatever it's called, is that it works really well because they get people from, they cover like a lot of different subject matters, like who's a Beyonce fan and who's not, who's into anime and who's not, and kind of the whole message I feel that this Odd One Out series kind of promotes is that like you could all look different, you could all sound different, but you could all have this one thing in common. And there's no way, like there's no definitive way to know. And that works culturally with things like we named. But when it comes to religion and Christianity, that can't be the case. And instead, what I feel like they do is they try to intentionally get pastors that don't agree or look or sound the same. And I'm not just talking about culturally, I'm talking about like theologically, completely disagree on not just doctrinal or opinion, but on dogmatic issues, things that it's like, no, you actually have to kind of believe this in order to even be a Christian, let alone a pastor. So that would have been my strategy going in here, but after seeing enough Jubilee videos, I don't even know if that's going to be the case. I mean, I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it is because these guys are claiming to be pastors somewhere. They're claiming to be people who teach the word of God. But I mean, TikTok exists and you see people on there claiming to be pastors and teachers and spewing all sorts of garbage. So let's see. I'm giving the video a chance. We'll see if we actually could do this and if we could find the Odd One Out here as a pastor. But let's jump back in. Let's start the video.
So what about an introduction to start things off? My name is Jay. I'm an Episcopal priest.
I'm Don, pastor, non-denominational.
Dominic, Lutheran pastor.
Paul, youth pastor, SPC.
Paul wore a whole suit, and I was like, oh, maybe he's overcompensating. Like, I don't know what a pastor would wear on a Saturday. Maybe it's this suit.
So I'm Zach, former Calvary Chapel pastor, and now like fully Calvary guy.
Whoa, yes!
Totally
Yeah, hence the tattoos and stuff.
I think my strategy is going to be this idea of like really trying to just hear the heart behind like.
You could also tell who a pastor is sometimes by the way that they speak, by the way that they use their hands and really kind of emphasize things here and there. You can tell, like I say, you can tell too with Christians sometimes. But I think especially at pastors. I think Zach's definitely a pastor.
Why people are pastoring.
Daniel, also youth pastor, non-denominational.
I'm Anna.
I don't know.
Largely
I don't think he is.
kind of all over the place over the years.
I mean, I have a question like education. So
Sure.
Seminary, maybe degrees. I don't know.
Seminary, theological studies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where at?
King's College as well as Oxford University.
Okay. Was that like an MA or was it an MDiv or
You're
what?
drilling me in.
I know.
I think he is. Maybe.
No, your turn. Your
Oh,
turn.
my turn.
Your turn. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
so
Give it to him.
So I'm in an MA program at Western Seminary currently.
I went to Calvary Chapel Bible College.
Come on, dude.
And then did the Veritas program, so a degree in theology with a focus in biblical studies.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Actually, not really a formal institution, but I grew up in such a rural area. There was just nothing for so.
I have a feeling Anne's gonna be a pastor, but yeah, I wouldn't think that she is, and not because she's a woman. I just don't think that she is.
Far, so almost more of like an apprenticeship kind of context. Tiny town with tinier towns around it, so we all would kind of come to the same Lutheran church primarily when I was studying.
What kind of Lutheran church?
Again, such a small area that just Luther.
Totally lying.
There's so few people to
Generic
get.
brand.
Yes, generic. Run-of-the-mill Lutherans.
I like that.
Immediately, I thought, well, if she's a Lutheran pastor, she would definitely say which denomination
Right.
she would be.
What town did you grow up in?
Upper Michigan, actually. Very small area.
What town?
Near Marquette is kind of one of the big cities around there, but
Gotcha.
it's the one that someone would know.
She's so bad at this.
Anna spoke in very general terms. I don't even
She's
think
so
she
bad
knew
at
the
this.
city that she came from, but she knew the city that was next to the city she came from. And at that point, I was done.
You mentioned that you didn't grow up in the church. More of that going around?
Sure. Okay. Totally.
So I've been there all my life, was baptized at 7 years old. I don't think I really became a believer until I was 30, to be perfectly honest. I did it because I was brought up, and this is what you're supposed to do. You do what they do, and what they say, and you believe, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, and then I got kicked out.
Anna's out. Sorry, Anna.
From what I knew about Lutherans, there should have been a very specific answer to that question, and that kind of threw me off.
Yeah, definitely.
ANNA. Done.
Of course, the woman's not that.
So that's
Check your bias. Bye.
Being the only woman in the group today was a little tricky. Obviously, not being able to always edge my way into the conversation, was not able to present it in the way that I would have liked, and
Don't
that I
make
thought
it
would have
about
been more
that.
effective.
I walked in and I was so happy that there was a female pastor because they're the only types of people that are as rare as gay pastors like myself. It's very much still
What
new
did I
where
say?
we're seeing queer
I tell you?
pastors and queer worship leaders and
There's a reason for that.
queer Christians. Tell me, you got kicked out for why?
I got kicked out. Well, I got kicked out because I was in the church, and as I grew older in the church, I began to ask questions that to me were very obvious.
What was one of those questions?
Is baptism essential for salvation? You know, communion, you know, some of those, you
I
know,
like how they-
battleground.
I like how they have to give like the descriptions of what baptism and communion are. And again, maybe because I'm a pastor, but like I would like to think I'm still generally in touch with culture, and most people understand what a baptism is. Communion, maybe they think of something else. But I think most people know what communion is too. Like the ethos of just church and religion is still predominant. Maybe it's for a wider audience in other parts of the world where it's not, but I think in most Western cultures, we still understand. And in the East, like in the East, they probably understand better than we do some of these things.
Questions that oftentimes separate, you know, faith and denominations. Yeah.
I pastored high school kids for years, and I never had any of them asking me that question.
I want to know what everybody's ministry responsibilities are.
So here's my refocus on Daniel. I think they're gonna claim he is a pastor, but you understand, you know.
And what you're currently teaching through.
Yeah, so I'm an assistant teaching pastor, and so we're replanting, revitalizing. So I'm an elder and a teaching pastor.
I serve at a small Korean church in La Mirada, California.
Yeah, I can see
And I
that.
take care of the youth ministry.
So I'm kind of semi-retired. I also don't have a congregation, although I work with one. It's a little Episcopal church in San Clemente. I also
Yo, let's go! How do I not know this guy? Wait, what'd you say?
have a weird job that I'm chaplain to a governmental agency.
Jay answered a question about being retired.
I
He never
believe him, though.
indicated what he was
That's
retired
totally a San
from.
Clemente job.
And after years of being in ministry or serving, I thought there would have been a culmination of his life experiences, and now he's doing a part-time assistant thing. And I thought, okay, so
he's
we've
older,
slipped into
dude.
some unknown factors about yourself, Jay.
I don't pastor a church. I pastor pastors. So I work for a denomination, and I preach at different congregations every week.
I'm not in the pulpit right now, but I am teaching in small groups, conversations. There's a lot of dogmatic positions that are just generalized for Christendom.
So I have a question. I mean, when was
Maybe-
the last time you
Yeah,
were
him.
in a hospital room with somebody, and what comfort did you give them in a time that was critical?
Oh, I hate this question.
I
I
think I
think
could see it being
that someone who is in
Or not him.
pastoral
The other guy.
ministry, it's
Don?
more than
What was his
just preaching and teaching. I felt a question that would get at that about how somebody gives the comfort and the peace of the presence of God would
Sure.
really indicate whether or not they were a pastor. And
That's
they
a
were
good.
involved in that
That's a
type of ministry.
smart.
Last time I was in the hospital
smart.
was not too long ago. It was, I'd actually become almost a medical proxy for a family friend's mother. She was elderly and just kind
Yeah,
of
I'm
going
not
through it. It was
buying this
very-
guy's a pastor
Very tender
anymore.
for me. But the comfort that I gave was in knowing that her family was nearby and knowing that beyond this moment when she stepped out of time into eternity, she would be in the place she longed to be.
I've only had to do it once, and it was very recent, and I hated it with every fiber of my being because it was for somebody that like I loved, and it was a lot of waiting and quiet and like very, very soft prayers and just kind of being there. And I'm shaking. I hated it.
Yeah, it's done.
The thing that I
These
thought
guys
I
are good.
spotted was that he was just trying too hard.
The way that he was answering the questions was very old school.
Sankamani is an old school tower.
Sorry, dude.
I see what's happening. First the woman, then the black man, the gay is next. I see what's happening.
What the devil? Me? I question everybody else left up there. Do they know Jesus? 'Cause I know him.
Wow, they weren't saying you don't know Jesus, man. They just are saying they don't think you're a pastor. I don't feel like that's something a pastor would say either. Like, unless you're really just caught up in the moment, like getting into character, playing the game. Wow. I think they got him. I think they're going to have the guy at the end. Again, they try to find the full spectrum of the gambit of like pastors that don't look alike or sound alike. Or I think, though, I think they got him. I think in the first 2 rounds they got him, but we'll see.
If you think the mole is still in the box and you want to continue playing the game, please raise your hand.
I think 2 of them are legit. I think Jay's legit.
So let's start with the
Korean guy's
question
legit.
of what does atheism mean to you?
I talk to my kids a lot about agnosticism,
Yeah.
more than I talk about atheism, just because of the oversimplification of like, as an atheist, I don't believe in God. Well, it's like, well, what is God?
I go back to like what Augustine the Hippo said, right? Like all hearts are restless until
Until
they
he
find
rests
rest
in
in
you.
God.
I love
An
this
atheist
guy.
Is not the enemy. It's not just because you don't believe in the God that I love and serve. Doesn't mean you're the enemy. It means that you're restless in your heart and you're trying to search for meaning and belonging in anything other than God.
I'd be curious to know if anybody on the stage that did not have a real serious questioning time.
You start.
Yeah, go for
You
it.
are very quiet, and that's just a little sus to me.
What was the
Korean
question?
church,
You are the best
What brought
dressed.
you out of
so-
there?
I'm a little overdressed today. So the question was, have I ever wrestled with faith? To be honest, I wrestled more with my calling, more than my faith. My faith, once I had an experience and encounter with God out of drug addiction, my faith was pretty solid. But with the calling, I think I wrestled countless amount of times. In high school, my parents decided to split, and that's when I really went on a frenzy with drug addiction. I struggled with crystal meth, from my junior year. I think that's what really put me to the pit of my life, the most rock bottom of my life, and the only way I could go is to look up.
So I have a question. How do we feel about eschatology?
Well, we're millennial.
You're on millennial? Okay,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
cool.
so,
Okay.
yeah.
I would just-
We are in the end time.
I would just
Yeah.
say, oh, that is such a smart thing. If I was in that room still, I would just say, how do we feel about eschatology? And just and say, just tell me where you're at, and like, don't explain it. Like, don't give a definition, because then if the mole is there, there's no way they would know what eschatology
The
is.
second
Totally.
Jesus said it was
Yeah,
finished.
I have a lot more openness to the on-mill position than I did. Growing up, Calvary Chapel was like hyper
Yeah, and
dispensational.
this is really, I'm like
Hyper
this is such a
dispensational
sensitive
pre-mill,
subject
you
for
know?
me because of the sensationalism.
Because of your background.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and
So I'm that's okay. It's cool.
Hey, I don't expect the end time anytime soon.
I sensed maybe a little bit of woundedness that he was putting forth, and wondering if maybe that was part of what he was using as a mask there.
Wow, they're pretty split.
I won't lie to you, Jay looked super familiar, and I was banking on him being a paid actor that I had seen in something before.
There was a tie. The tie is between Jay and Daniel. I will give you each on the clock 30
Very
seconds
pastory.
to state your case.
I don't know what to say except that I think I should have not voted for the redo. Other than that, went to seminary 85 to 88, MDiv, Episcopal priest for 35 years. I thought what was going to do me in is I'm really liberal, and you guys just killed me on that. So that's basically it.
I know what to say. I am a pastor. Please don't vote me out. It's as simple as that. I know that I've been ordained for a bit, and I'm in this like new congregation I'm really excited about. And the reason that I actually came was because I heard that there was some cash, and I was like, I really want to take the kids on like a cool trip, and so I really want to like split some of this cash for the kids in the youth group. So that's why I'm here, and I don't want to get voted out.
It's not that much money, bro.
Don't be homophobic.
I don't know where you're thinking of taking the kids.
I was a youth pastor, man. Like, we had budgets for that kind of stuff. Like, I didn't used to use my own personal money.
I definitely saw the heart in Jay, and I felt like Daniel was more of a presentation.
Yeah.
I told you. Wow. Called it.
If the lights turn green, that means the mole is out and you win.
But there's 2 of them.
If the lights
I think
turn
they
red,
got him out.
that means the mole is still in the box.
If it's
and
not, I'm gonna be shocked.
3, 2,
Other than
1.
Jay. Okay, I was right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go.
Can the moles please reveal themselves? 1, 2, 3.
I'm fully leaning on Don. Oh, what's the 2 of them?
But I'm gonna pray against the rest
Oh,
of them.
yeah. Hey, my apologies, man.
Absolutely.
My apologies.
Absolutely.
And Calvary Chapel, all of that was real?
I do have a degree in theology from Calvary Chapel Bible.
Got it.
A big part of it was a personal desire for knowledge and understanding of my own existence. So that was really what drove the course. And I wanted to feel like I was doing everything I could to get those answers.
So I have actually worked in the church
I could
for
appreciate
about
that.
8 years total as a pianist and organist on and off. So I had a lot to draw from.
Here's what got me as a Lutheran.
I know what
there
it
are
is.
no general Lutherans.
Yes.
Yeah.
That got me.
Well, no, that really is the thing. Though, is I'm from such a loosely populated area that really is the case. Is there's so little that even brings people together. There's a lot of churches that are people who are strongly Catholic, strongly Lutheran, that will all be in the same place because like a whole town will be like a gas station, a corner store, and 10 houses.
So we are very much in a turning point in the community when it comes to queer individuals in Christianity. Even though I do not subscribe to Christianity, it's great to see at least a portion of this community that has such a large history of having a negative agenda towards us as a community, opening up their eyes, admitting their wrongs, apologizing and seeking reconciliation. And I think that it can only, get better so long as they continue to move on that track.
Pastors actually think a little bit more deeply about people and their condition of their soul. And I really hope that those who view this would actually seek out that type of
Dominic's
spiritual
the
direction
man.
as well.
I like him.
Make it rain!
Oh,
Him and Zach.
All right.
They're
Okay.
awesome. Well, guys, I said I called the right 4 at the end. I knew it would be those 4.
All right. We gotta do it.
Glad they won. Yeah. Hope they enjoy that money. It's like all singles. But hopefully you guys like this. Let me know if you guys have something else you want me to react to. What did you think? Did you guess it right in the video? Let me know in the comments down below. And if always, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe because we are closing in on 1,000 subscribers. And once we do, we are going to be doing a 24-hour live stream raising funds for kids in need with these foundations. So make sure to do those things. And if you guys did all that already, check out this video right over here because YouTube thinks you might actually like these ones. So check them out. And until next time, guys, know that you are valued and loved. I'll see you soon.